Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Town of High Level Council meeting for September 14th. Before we begin tonight, I would like to welcome our new financial person, Jerry Phillips. Thank you for joining our fabulous team.
Thank you.
I would like to call this meeting to order at 7:01. Is there any additions to the, oh, sorry. So under new business, could you please add 13.2 if you don't have it? And that is confirmation regarding a virtual meeting with Minister Allard at the Fall Convention via Zoom, WebNX, whatever media that we are on. Please remove 5.2, Mr. Gary Ross. He is unable to make it tonight. Is there any other additions?
Madam Mayor, administration has no other changes.
Okay, thank you, CEO. Okay, could I have someone move to adopt the agenda?
We'll move.
Councillor Forrest, all in favor? Carried. You have the minutes of the August 24th meeting. Oh, sorry. 5.2 delegations. 5.1, sorry. Staff Sergeant Dallas Delaron, please come to the hot seat. I know how you love this one.
Thank you very much for inviting me to your meeting. It'll be much like the last one. Everybody has a copy of the report, and I'll answer any questions on that. And as far as the additional pages that come with it, if you look at the numbers, some of the increases and reductions are quite significant, 100%, 100%, 100%. But we've got to bear in mind the numbers are low, so just changing it by 1 or 2 increases it quite significantly. So you have to keep that in mind when you're looking at the variance of it. When you look at should be the second last page. This kind of highlights what I just mentioned. You look at the theft of motor vehicle, because there's an increase, a significant increase percentage-wise. It's flagged as an issue, but the overall numbers themselves are low. They're only 2. So it's just got to be kept in mind when you're looking at that. As you can see by the second page, there's been an increase in persons crime, but property crime, other criminal code offenses has gone down, which would include break-in enters and stuff. And of course, you can see on the bottom, this set page 2 is for the whole of Western Alberta District. But if you go to the third page, if you look under the second category, just under where it says total persons is bolded on your left side. You look at the B&Es for 2020 as compared to the previous year back to 2016. Again, there's been a reduction in overall in that whole period, 54%, but year to date from last year there's been a decrease of 11%. So everything is actually trending downward, which is quite positive. But I mean, we're not going to go through it line by line because it's too time consuming, but I'll answer any questions if anybody has any.
Does anybody have a question? Nobody? So is, not to belittle the stats going down, because that is a very good thing, but is that because of COVID? Could that have an effect on it, or?
It has had some effect, but if you go back over the previous 4 years, it shows a constant decline.
Mm-hmm.
This year, of course, there's a more significant decline because of having to utilize discretion a lot more, or alternative means of addressing the situation.
Okay. Thank you very much. The seat wasn't too hot.
I like it when it's being streamed because it's a lot shorter. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Good evening.
So the next order of business is my report. Oh, sorry. I already checked it. Approval of minutes of the August 24th meeting. Is there any errors or corrections?
Just
Deputy Mayor? Yes?
we have the one amended. Resolution 308-20, it should show rescinded. So I can correct those. When the bylaw was defeated, that second reading, when it's defeated, it automatically rescinds the other one, so we should show,
Oh, okay.
reflect that in the minutes.
Okay, thank you. You accept that amendment? All in favor? Carried. So on August 20, delegation business. I'm not reading the agenda. I'm going off on my own.
I'm trying to keep you on.
The RCMP report, could I have someone move for?
I'll move for information.
Thank you. Councillor Morgan moves for information. All in favor? Carried. On August 25th, I had, not just me, but a few stakeholders had a meeting with the Minister of Transportation, Mr. MacGyver. The purpose of this was information gathering and feedback from stakeholders to understand the opportunities of introducing road use fees or toll fees to finance the construction of the bridge at Tompkins Landing, or at the end of Highway 697. The bridge would replace the winter ice crossing and the aged ferry. The seasonal crossings are closed 30% of the year, and that is due to floods, rivers too high, rivers too low, the ice isn't in. And so this is a serious disruption caused by having a ferry in there. And a year-round bridge would reduce the congestion, and I can empathize with these poor people having to wait up to sometimes 8 to 10 hours for the ferry. I think I'd be driving around. So the bridge is expected to cost $274 million. And it is not in the capital budget for 20 to 23. But this new approach is interesting to the government, of course, because it will be paid for by the users. And he explained to us that road user fees exist in 5 of the other provinces and territories. And he figured that the price would be between $150 per 18-wheeler per, if it went back and forth, that would be per
trip?
per trip,
One way.
Oh,
one way. And somewhere between $5 and $15 for passenger cars was also tossed around, but that's way down in the weeds and we weren't going there. And this toll, we discussed and we said that it would include all vehicles, including farm equipment. So with the exception of emergency responder vehicles in times when they're going over, of course, with the ambulance, the fire trucks, people fleeing the fire. So those are things that wouldn't affect it. The government does have 9 million in their coffers right now to build a ferry, or to put a ferry in there, but the people of that area want a bridge, and they said they could pay for it. Gary Ross was there from Toco and myself, and we both kind of confirmed that there wouldn't be a lot of revenue in high level from the bridge. There aren't a lot of users crossing that bridge, with the exception of grain haulers from down in that area. But a lot of people in this area, and trucks and loggers, don't normally use that pathway. I did ask how much a new ferry would hold, and he said 2 loaded Super Bs, as opposed to the one that they have now, as well as 8 to 10 passenger vehicles. I also asked him if they were going to put in a toll bridge, would that 9 million then go to Little Red so that they could put a ferry across their river? But he said no. They're going to give them the old ferry, and I'm saying, well, it's at its end of life. Like, why would you give them something that's old and broken down? But I guess they're going to fix it. Anyways, people can go to road user fees, engagement, and express your concerns, or whether you're for it or it doesn't really impact you, but that's road user fee engagement at gov.ab.ca. We had a SETI meeting on August 28th. We reviewed goals for graduation that we hardly attended. We hardly attended school, but we discussed some goals for that. I missed the last meeting, so perhaps Deputy Mayor can update on that. September 2nd, administration, myself, and the Ag Society had met to discuss how we would go forward with the funds that were left. It was decided that the town would use the remaining funds to complete the infield, which includes packing, much to the chagrin of our administration. The Ag Society will work jointly, and I believe that they have asked for a letter of support from the town, and we are sending a letter of support. They're applying for is it a SIP grant? A SIP grant to get funds to complete the outside of their rodeo arena. The society then they didn't tell us at the meeting, but they called me and said that they really don't need the water line installed for 3 to 10 years, and they have hopes of building a riding arena, and that's where they would like the water line to go, and they don't know where that arena would be, so it'd be a waste of time and money to put that water line in right now. I haven't spoke to the CAO, but he was going to speak to the operations manager and decide whether that could be done or not. And of course, we would probably have to write up agreement so that we all know what's going on in 10 years when we aren't here. September 9th, Boreal Housing. We had a meeting with Alberta Housing, and out of our clients, 22, or all the clients at Homestead, 22 have been tested positive. That's the whole period. 19 have recovered, and we've had 3 deaths. Homestead is now COVID-free, but we have to wait a complete incubation cycle, which is 28 days, to come off the outbreak status. Mary has been experiencing a lot of trouble with staffing over the past few months, but happily, or maybe not happily, but we have 3 agency LPNs arriving to help out. The good news is that they're arriving to help out. The bad news is they're about double the price of what our own LPNs are paid. The contractor for the Alberta Social Housing has not yet arrived in Fort Vermilion. All the permits are in place, and they should be arriving in the next few days. And I forgot to ask Mary if they arrived. Do you know, CAO? No? And the SRH1 unit should be completed by the end of September, and those are the units that people are buying through rent. Once the board has a walk through a Mackenzie house, Mary would like to have a tour for the Golden Range Society, as they have been fundraising to furnish the guest suite. Mary received a call from Alberta Housing and Seniors, and the minister is planning on being at the grand opening at the end of October, and he wants it, tenants living in it. But we have a few ruffles to work through. And one of them is the request for interest, because our building is a B2, which is above a B3. But in order to meet the criteria, we have to put another $800,000 into that facility. Even though we pleaded with the government to do that at the time, they didn't. And that facility is not prepped for SL4, which is a high level of care, or SL4 dementia. So we are in talks right now with the government. So, long story short, we didn't meet that no capital component of the grant, but today we decided to apply for it anyways and beg for forgiveness. On September 10th, I attended a Zoom NAIL meeting, Northern Alberta elected leaders. Our new Minister of Municipal Affairs was there, Tracy Allard, to give us a brief update. She is looking forward to reconnecting with communities and mending the fences that may have been broken between RMA and AUMA and the former Minister of Municipal Affairs. The ISEP survey that NAIL conducted had 16 participants, 3 of whom received a grant, but because it was so late, I should say, none of them will be beginning this year or ending next year in the construction season. So there's going to be a meeting in Valley View on Friday. Are you busy?
Yes.
With Minister Allard and Minister Taves, who is our finance minister, to discuss an assessment review model update. We didn't receive an invitation. It was only for Reeves and CAOs, because they're the most affected, I guess. But Minister Allard said that everybody was welcome, so we're awaiting that invitation. As of yet, we haven't got one. So the government of Alberta is working with RMA on ways to recover unpaid taxes by oil companies, and there should be an update because some of them have a ton of unpaid taxes. And that's it. If there's any questions, I'll try to answer them. Councillor Jessamine.
Just back to the bridge and the Peace River crossing. So in my understanding, this is a go, like the bridge is approved, or is it, are they in the?
He never said the bridge was approved or not.
Okay.
I mean, they have to crunch some numbers and see how many years it would take to pay it off.
Are they, like I've heard statements that they're comparing this to Coquihalla Highway. I mean, there's the numbers don't even come close. They must be dreaming if they feel.
And that doesn't meet the standard. Like, there's only 275 vehicles approximately per day going over that bridge, and it needs double in order for transportation to even look at it. But because they promised, or they said they would pay the toll, and industry said that they would pay whatever it costs to get across that bridge. And like, nothing's written in stone.
Okay.
Minister is collecting information. He talked with High Level because it doesn't really affect us, but because I guess I whined so much about the last time he was here and never came to High Level, he came to visit us. But yeah, no, he has made no promises. So, and the only thing, like, it doesn't bother me because I'll never go across the bridge. The one aspect that bothers me, we'll never be able to say, well, there's a ferry over there, you should go take it, because there's very few ferries in Alberta. And so that's part of tourism, so we lose that.
Yeah.
Also, it sets precedent. But he said, and once again, none of us will be around to see it probably, well, maybe younger kids will be, but it'll take 50 years to pay for it.
Yeah, I just crunched some quick numbers, it'll take more than 50 years, but.
That's
So
what we
about
thought too.
Little Red River Cree Nation, was that in the discussion at all? I mean, if you look for priorities up in our area to cross the Peace River, I mean,
I never compared priority to priority, but I did talk to him privately and said that the town of High Level fully supported paving to Garden River and John Doerr. And he was thankful for that. Hope he doesn't come back asking for money because we have. But yes, he said that's good to know. Yeah, I was quite surprised though about the ferry, like, why not give that new ferry to, I mean, they have been sequestered in there for the past 100 years.
the river's quite shallow there too. So.
And if the old ferry's running, it's at the end of its life, what good is it to them? Unless they have really good contractors that can fix it up.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay. Could I have someone move to accept my report? Councillor Morgan, all in favor? Carried. Committees on which councillors are appointed. Deputy Mayor.
August 31st, attended the Green Space Alliance presentation regarding the social housing along 103rd Street, I guess that is. Then on September 8th, did the city working group did not have full representation from all members, so it was sort of a highlight meeting. One of the things that came out of it though, October 6th has now been selected as the date for the next workshop. It's going to be sort of a dual component. Part of it's going to be on the high-level joint emergency regional plan, and then part of it is the city workshop that's been planned for 6 months or so. And then September 11th also attended the same panel meeting.
Oh, I did a report, sorry, at the NAIL meeting on the sub-regional caribou task force. I've included it here, you can look at it. It's just a brief summary of what I presented because our report, our recommendations and outcomes are like 59 outcomes over 60 pages. And it hasn't been accepted by the government, it's just gone up to the government now. Once it becomes a draft form, I will bring it in here for you all to peruse. Any other questions of Deputy Mayor? Okay, Councillor Anderson.
August 31st, attended the Alliance Green Space meeting, the same as Deputy Mayor, to do with social housing on, I think it's 102nd. September 2nd, Golden Range Society meeting. And on September 12th, the Peace Library Board meeting.
Any questions for Councillor Anderson? Okay, thank you. Councillor Jessamine.
August 31st, I attended the Alliance Green zoning rezoning meeting, and September 9th was our start up for a high-level policing society monthly meetings. We did get an update on the PACE, our new Child Advocacy Center at the Fulham building, so that's coming along quite nicely. It's all been redone, painted, new furniture, and that. Starting to look at putting the pieces together for that puzzle, and we're getting quite close here to name it. We haven't got a name for the center yet. There are centers across the province. They've been named the Zebra Center and mostly named after animals. So we're looking forward to that. We're going to be getting both committees involved in that to choose a name for the new center. So that'll hopefully start here this fall, and we'll be able to have it named and up and running in the near future. But right now, too, the cost to finish up the interview room is through the roof. I think $15,000 for just to do an engineered plan for the soundproofing, $8,000 for a door, just soundproof doors. So We're looking at funding for that and getting the specs to get it done, so. But other than that, once that's done, we'll be ready to move forward.
How much were you able to raise at your victim services alternate?
I think we ended up with a little over $2,000 that we walked away with after expenses. And pretty excited about that.
So is your PACE room, is it a treatment room, or can kids hang out there, or they go for one-on-one consultation?
It's not a counseling service. It's for families that have been impacted, youth or kids that have been impacted by violence or sexual assault. They come to our center and then they go through the interview process for the legal system. Right now, anybody that's impacted in that way up here in the north, they have to travel down south. They have to go to Grand Prairie or even further. So we're going to have that service here, which is nice. Families can come from all the different communities. They don't have to travel, which can be very negative for families even in that time. They can be somewhere where they're comfortable in this area. So it's basically, the RCMP are a big part of it, and they're a part of the interview process with the family.
So it is the child and the family?
Correct.
Okay.
We take the family and the child in, and they walk them right through from the very beginnings of the interview process into the legal system, and they're alongside them the whole journey.
What if it's a family member?
A family. Yes, that is, we talked a little bit about that in Grand Prairie because they have a fairly big structure down there, and it can be a difficult situation, and we have to work through that. But the people that are there have the experience, the counselors, and to deal with that. So,
It's an exciting venture.
yeah, we're excited.
I hope you get more funding. All right, thank you very much. Any other questions for Councillor Jesse? Okay, Councillor Morgan.
I have nothing to report.
Thank you. Councillor Welke.
I also attended the Green Space Alliance meeting on the 31st of August by Zoom with the other council members, and that's all I have to report.
When is the FASD Society, or maybe you told us this, having their grand opening, do you know?
So the FSD grand opening, I'd have to double check. I've actually been out of touch with them since my last meeting. It's almost a month ago. And they also had their national FSD Day event, which I wasn't able to attend, but we do have a meeting tomorrow, board meeting. So I will take notes on that and have more information to present at our next meeting in 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Forrest.
Nothing to report.
Okay, thank you. All in favor of council reports? Okay, yes, good. Councillor Morgan, you're doing this all yourself too. All in favor? Carried. Feeling like we're out of line.
Nope. You're sober.
Okay, 10.1, actions resulting from council committee meetings. Any questions on those? If not, can I have someone move?
I'll move for information.
Councillor Forrest, all in favor? Carried. Capital project status? Any questions? Could I have someone move, please?
I'll move them for information.
Councillor Morgan moves. All in favor? Carried. Financial report. CAO.
Actually, Madam Mayor, the financial report is also combined with the departmental reports to council. If there are any questions, we would be more than willing to. No, I'm not reading the agenda, my apologies. I will defer this to Director Phillips to go through a few.
I thought you would.
July and August 2020. Accounts receivable outstanding balance as at July 31st was $338,289.97. Outstanding balance as at August 31st, 2020 is $294,052.93. Greater than 91 days outstanding included in the August total is $203,229.31. And 78% of that total balance, which is $228,992.09, is due to one customer. They have been contacted and recently today have provided information that they've sent a check in the mail for the full balance and are looking at crowdized payment arrangements with the town of High Level. Taxation, we have an outstanding balance as at July 31st, 2020, $411,821.21. Outstanding balance as at August 31st, 2020, $326,289.02. Arrears as of August 31st, 2020 is $100,194.34. And under utilities, our outstanding balance as at July 31st is $212,254.99. Outstanding balance as of August 31st, 2020 is $209,512.65.
Are a lot of those utilities outstanding, are they due to one customer? No?
Majority, one customer has larger accounts, and I think it's an ongoing customers.
Okay. Any questions?
I'll move for information.
Okay. Deputy Mayor moves for information. All in favor? Carried. Monthly council report.
Madam Mayor, the departmental reports are there for your review. We would gladly answer any questions that you may have.
Does anybody have questions about the departmental reports? I have a request of administration. So since these are quarterly, is there a possibility that we can go back to directors giving these reports? I think that they spend the time doing them, that we should spend the time listening to them.
Actually, if you wish, I'm sure they would be glad to. Actually, we've been presenting them monthly.
Oh, so.
Yeah, it's just the summer ones that are
okay.
Stretched out because of the live meetings, but yeah. But yeah, if you would like brief notes from each of the directors, we can definitely prepare that for October.
Okay. I'm sure they would like to brag up their departments.
It's been a busy year.
Yes, it has been. Thank you. Okay, could I, no administrative inquiries? Monthly report to council, are we all good with it?
I'll move for information.
Brent had his hand up. Councillor Anderson, all in favor? Carried. The tourism development strategy.
Madam Mayor, I will refer that to Director Wolf.
Okay. Welcome.
Good evening, Your Worship and Council. Administration has updated the current strategy and incorporated additional 3 years that will continue to provide a framework for our tourism projects and operations. One of the reasons why I ended up incorporating the 3 years into the one that we currently have is because a lot of our policies were based on that strategy and had resolutions with them. And within those policies, it indicated that we could add on initiatives and programs, but it made it a lot easier for now in the short term, just to amalgamate it as I have. The updated plan has kept the strategies and tactics. One of the exceptions was the strategy to attract long-haul markets as a geotourism destination. I've replaced that one with to develop and operate the Mackenzie Crossroads Museum and Visitor Center as a destination experience. In the original plan, we didn't have anything specific to the museum, and I thought we should have something that spoke directly to that. The first 2 pages of the plan are an overview of the entire plan, so the council always has a synopsis right at their hands that they can review. And then the next 6 pages provide more detail, including action items and prioritization status. For example, under strategy, building products and market readiness, tactic 7 is revamp the partner tourism program. Administration has already completed a review. We've met with the partners, and I'll be coming back with a request for decision with changes to advertising, suggested event coordinator, and that sort of thing. So it's tied into this whole plan with individual activities that will come back and report to council on with a request for decision to make it straightforward. I think previously when I came to council, I had too many things sort of coming at everybody, and I think it's easier now. We can bring them back in chunks with an overview. One of the other things I've done is clarifying some of the roles. For instance, strategy 3 was attractive regional tourism as an intermediate destination. Most of those tactics really align better with Mackenzie Frontier Tourism Association, and they are doing a lot of them. So we left that as it, and most of our initiatives are going to be based on what the town high level staff is going to be doing within their town high level. So I'm requesting the council approve the 3-year tourism plan.
Is there any questions of Director Roll? No questions? Someone want to make a motion? Councilor Forrest?
Information.
Information?
Or no, pardon me.
Approve the strategy as
I
updated?
approve, yes.
Okay. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Mr. Roll. All right. The RFD for 92nd Street and Richardson Pioneer Water Servicing.
Madam Mayor, I'll defer that to Director Straw.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. Before you have an RFD. I'm not going to read through it completely. I'll give you a summary. The 92nd Street portion of the water, as well as the Richardson section, are two separate lines connecting to the new Bushy water line that is running from High Level to Bushy River. That project is moving along nicely, and we should see some significant advancement in that right away. As part of that project, we looked at the servicing of 92nd, connecting it to the Bushy River water line, which addresses an inherent need for the subdivision. The East Industrial area consists of a large portion of our users that are large users. The Northward water line connects into the East Industrial area. Our bulk water fill station connects there. Recently, Tokal has connected a large line there. We have the Fairview College. And that area is serviced by a single feed line, and that's it's in 200 millimeter or an 8-inch line. So in the event that that line fails, we have a complete loss of water to all those services. So over the last few years, starting in 2005, we have designed that connector line, which will create a loop and feed a larger amount of water directly from the water treatment plant. That missing section of pipe was at the halfway up, or a third of the way up 92nd Street by the creek, and it ended over by Knelson Sand and Gravel. So this project addressed that section of pipe, bringing that together and tying it directly into the Northward line, which would eliminate the lower flow capabilities of the area, increase fire protection, as well as having that second source of water feeding that area. The other part of this project is when Richardson put in the new elevator, they had requested a water service. And we had looked at supplying just a singular service over there for the facility. But with such a large industrial complex being there, we decided we should at least approach them and see if we can run a fire hydrant over there also to protect that area, especially around the grain dryers. So that is the portion of the project that we're sharing with Richardson. Currently, there's been some negotiation on the value. Right now, the value within the agreement is what I had last suggested. I haven't heard back from them, but we should be pursuing at least a fire and a partnership service there. And servicing the property is something that is well within our needs. So, again, this project was in the 2021 capital plan, And we had looked, we were potentially doing it this year. But with the contracted work going on in the area, we felt it very advantageous to take the design to tender to see what was out there and see if it was reasonable to proceed this year. And as you can see within the tender prices, there was a very broad pricing regimen that came in. Some could be that they're not familiar with municipal work in the higher ends, and the lower ones are reasonable. We have checked, and the companies are all within the lower end are well qualified. The contractor that we recommend awarding this project to is new in the area, but they do have everything in line. They have all the credentials to do the project as well as bonding and everything else. So with that, unless there's any questions, I would request that council fund this project from the utilities reserve, and that we will continue to work with Richardson to get some partnership funding back on their portion of the work.
So forgive my ignorance, but what part of Richardson Pioneer would catch on fire if there was a fire?
Office or grain fire?
Thank you.
So the office building, I thought it was tin.
It's tin, but it's still wood construction.
Oh, is it? Okay. I just looking at it, I thought it was a brick construction. That shows my ignorance.
And excuse me if I'm wrong, but grain dryers are potential because you're adding air and dust all the time.
So how many dryers will you have there? One?
If you see it, it's a significant size, and grain dust is extremely flammable.
Yeah, I knew that. And like that's a huge jump from top to bottom in bidders. Like that's $550,000.
Yes, it was quite surprising. It's not the first time this year. We have tendered and closed the Bushy River water line, so I can say the value on that. Low bid between high bid was $1 million difference. So it is really, it's unfathomable to how
Good
broad
for
the
us.
costs are.
The importance of the tendering process.
Yeah, the bottom three tenders are really close, and some businesses may be just wanting to keep people employed. It is a COVID year, so with that being said, who knows what influences we're under. I just hope these numbers stay good for the next few years going forward.
Yeah. So Caribou Mountains is a new construction company of Little Red,
Yes,
and how long have they been?
they've been in town for a short period. They're setting up, they have a lot of equipment. I'm not too sure their history, but contractually, Little Red meets all of the requirements, or Caribou Mountain meets all the requirements of the tender, bonding, equipment, sub-trades. So they are a qualified contractor,
Yeah.
and it's good to see
Yeah, it's
some
good to see that.
competition. And
Competition. Deputy Mayor.
So this sort of brings to mind the request from the Ag Society to defer the water line for 3 to 10 years. Given the bid pricing that we have, would it not make sense while we have that all open to at least run the service to their property line going straight east from Richardson or not?
Yes and no. So the property is fairly large, so which way we go, left or right. In the end, if they put their house closer to Richardson, then we might be able to run over from Richardson and not have to cross the highway. We can come off the new potential service line we put in. It all depends on the placement of their riding arena or whatever facility they want to connect to. Right now, the identified location would be in the center of the property, where I believe the riding arena would be further to the west by quite a ways. So I don't think the savings would be that significant, and they don't want it. So.
I'm just thinking the line more under the highway would be very expensive if we could just stub it over. Would there be at least a connection point in the Richardson line so that that service wouldn't have to be disrupted if the connection was extended from there?
Yes. So the line feeding Richardson will be a large service main, and then they will have a private service up to a hydrant, and then from the hydrant into the facility will be a small service, just like in town, well, a reasonable size service. So anywhere along that line, and it'll be set up so we can tap it while it's live. The material we are using allows connection at any time, so should not be an inconvenience.
I'm prepared to move the recommendation.
Deputy Mayor moves the recommendation. Any more discussion? No? All in favor? Carried. Confirmation of the virtual meeting with Minister Allard on September 23rd.
Madam Mayor, that's in for the information of council. Just a note that only yourself and the deputy mayor have registered for the virtual AUMA conference. I don't think there's any requirements attending the conference to attend the meeting with Minister Allard, so I believe any of the councillors can join into that 20-minute meeting. We wouldn't mind confirmation to allow the minister, or to let the minister know who would be joining.
Okay. Are you joining?
Yes, I
So, and there's also a, did you get this page? Okay.
Okay.
There's also, they're gonna send all the information, how you can take this, how you can get into each one of the sessions and the resolution sessions, how to vote. So, my question to you is, this starts on the 16th. So we could be in this from the 16th to the 25th if we wanted to.
The AUMA conference.
Yeah. And normally it's a 2.5-day conference.
Mhm. It's spread out, I think, based on when the speakers are available or the presentations are available.
So my question is, the resolution sending councillors to this, what is the per diem for it?
Protocol?
Hmm.
That's a very good question, Madam
Thank
Mayor.
you.
We'll get back
I
to
don't
you
want
on
to
that.
get caught again. Not that I'm going to be in it that long.
When we registered, I thought it said the 23rd to the 25th. I don't recall anything about
But
this.
the education sessions are from the 16th to the 23rd. That piece might be missing on there. And did you get that, Ms. Beaton? The education sessions? I'll send
I
them.
don't recall, but I do recall what the deputy mayor was discussing, but we would certainly look into it.
The education sessions are basically like they were every year. I'm just kidding, I won't mean any of them. Anyways, so did you want a resolution on that or just information?
No, we'll do this. It's just an information piece
Okay.
for the council. We'll send out an email just asking who would be attending the session with Minister Allard.
Yeah, the dialogue with the ministers might be interesting this year. And we might get a meeting with K Division, so
Yes.
So we better come up with
Staff Sergeant
some-
Delron's going to try to arrange that.
so we should have some list of things that concern us.
Yeah. Director Schmidt is back next week. We can put that together.
Okay. All right, moving on to correspondence for information. Is there anything in there that anybody would like to take out?
I just have a question, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
I believe it's the Mackenzie County copy of the letter, it's 15-5.
15.5.
So this is, the petition to form a new municipality letter
Mhm.
from Reeve Josh Nelson. So what's the status on this request? Is Mackenzie County advocating for a new municipality?
Well, Minister Madhu, when the petition went before Minister Madhu, he sent letters to us and asked us if we want, and we said yes. Do you want a governance model? We said no. No, thank you. Been there, done that. And so then he wanted a reconfirmation and a resolution from all councils involved stating that they were going to allow this to move forward. That doesn't mean we're going to automatically dissolve, but
Right.
they're going to start the process. And Mackenzie County had to vote in favor of it.
I see, so
And
this
this
is
letter
their
is confirming that.
confirming that they are wanting to move forward.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any others?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
The administration would just like to comment on two of the items.
Okay.
First of all, just a congratulations to Director Straub on his appointment to
Yes.
the Water and Wastewater Operator Certification Advisory Committee. Water and Wastewater Operator Advisory Committee.
Congratulations.
It's a discretionary appointment to boot.
You'll do well on it.
And the other one, Madam Mayor, is just arising out of your meeting with Minister McIver, the permission to proceed with the tender of the Bushy Water Line. Actually, we just wanted to make a note to council that we will arrange for some sort of sod turning or groundbreaking for that project before it gets underway, because that's been a few years in the making. I think that's fairly historic.
And we have the MOU.
This is the important one.
Yeah,
Go
well,
ahead,
that's a
Mike.
huge accomplishment. You guys should be very proud of yourselves, council and administration.
Keith has been bringing his new shovels.
Gold ones. All right, could I have someone move the correspondence for information? Councillor Welke, all in favor? Carried. So, before we close out and go into a in-camera session, we do have a notice of motion by Councillor Welke. Are you addressing this, or you?
I can start, Madam Mayor.
Okay.
Councillor Wilkie did present correspondence to myself requesting reconsideration for the readings of bylaw number 1012-20, which is the face covering bylaw, which was defeated by council in the previous motion or meeting. I have put together, administration has put together a briefing note that's there for your review, just with a bit of a background. But under the procedural bylaw, there's two different pieces here. First, under the procedural bylaw, a councillor who voted in the majority to defeat a bylaw motion is allowed under the bylaw to bring that motion back. In this case, however, our bylaw also states that any reading of a bylaw that defeats the bylaw, that votes against the bylaw, defeats the bylaw, and the bylaw is rescinded. That's also backed up by the Municipal Government Act, which states that once a bylaw is defeated, that bylaw is gone. However, there's nothing in the Municipal Government Act that precludes a similar, or actually the same bylaw from being brought forward to a future council meeting. So our recommendation is that with Councillor Wilkie's motion, if he so makes it, is that what you're voting on is actually to bring in, ask administration to bring a face mask bylaw to a future meeting.
Could it go to a committee of whole meeting
That would, it's
to be
completely a
discussed
council's
by
discretion.
council?
Yeah, it's completely a council's
It's not
discretion.
not my motion, so.
So, Madam Mayor, if I could say
Yeah.
a couple words. This was a bit of a troubling moment for me. So on the August 24th meeting, when we did the readings, with respect to Councillor Forrest, who was eager to push this through, I in my voting wasn't prepared to take it all the way, as I felt we needed to discuss it a little bit more. And I realized too late that downvoting the second reading then was actually, in a sense, defeating it. So that's when I, how that had troubled me, and I investigated inquired with administration, if there was a possibility to kind of reset this process. As I do believe this bylaw requires a little more discussion, and I think we owe it to the public to discuss it a little bit more, and with the actual document available for the public to view. So that being said, is it at this point that I would make that motion? So Madam Mayor and Council, I would like to make a motion that we could reconsider bylaw 1012-20 to be brought back for discussion.
When would you like it brought down?
Madam Mayor, just a point of order, sorry. Right, a point of order. It can't be bylaw 10
It would be a new,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you for the correction. So a new version of the previous bylaw to be brought back for discussion. I would feel it would be appropriate for council to discuss this at the next committee of the whole. And as well as within that motion to instruct administration to begin developing that final piece of engagement for the public and businesses to view the document and perhaps get some feedback within the next 2 weeks for us to use in our discussions.
Is there any discussions on Councillor Welke's motion?
So I want to get these, so we bring it to the committee of the whole. We would discuss it there. Then we bring it to the next council meeting for a motion.
Yes, because we can't make motions in committee of
Correct.
whole.
Now, sorry if I could add to that. If it fits with procedure, could we not bring it back for discussion tonight and even perhaps proceed to first reading so that we could then proceed? No?
I think with a notice of motion, you are telling us that you're bringing this motion back to the
Okay.
The next
26th meeting.
Okay.
21st, no, not, we're just going to take it to the committee of whole.
Further this meeting, it will be placed as an item on your September 28th regular council.
Yes.
If council wishes to discuss it earlier, we can do that at committee.
Okay.
It's a process, not a
Mhm.
marathon.
I am learning.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
No, okay. All right, so your motion is?
I would like to make a motion for reconsideration of a face covering bylaw as drafted by administration to be brought back to the next council meeting on September
26th,
26th, September
28th,
28th.
okay. All in favor? Or is there any discussion, sorry? All in favor? Carried. So this ends our public portion of our meeting. Thank you for attending, everyone, and we hope to see you on the 26th. Good night.